Good morning, good morning. We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. Let's see how long this lag is on the stream. Not too bad so far. All right. Sunday morning here in Bangkok. Don't forget when you come in to click the thumbs up, click like, click share, all that good stuff. And of course to say hello. Good morning. I have a coffee and I really don't want to drink coffee anymore. I migrated from espresso, which I was drinking all the time, and then I went to tea. From tea, I went to coffee because my wife was like, "Oh, I'll make you a good cup of coffee." Now she's not making the coffee, I'm making it. And I prefer the tea because there's not as much junk in it, you know. John Davis, what's happening? Thank you for the thumbs up. They always counter the thumbs down, not that it's really important. What people don't understand is it doesn't matter if it's a thumbs up or thumbs down. You're awake. 9 a.m. in a Sunday and you're awake. Unbelievable. I will actually. I don't have a problem with the coffee thing. For a while it was the espresso. That was a bit of a Jones. You know, I would Jones on that sometimes. But, day or two and I'm over it. This coffee, you know. Yeah, actually, one of the reasons, Fidelity, why I'm thinking about quitting the coffee is because, I'm using the stevia, what is this stuff called? The Lancato or Lanca, whatever it is. Wow, thank you, Soy Dog Cowboy. Appreciate that. The first of the day. I have some other news here. I love my coffee. And that stuff, all of that stuff, it seems to give me gas. And who wants gas? I don't have a cold. My nose is, what is it right now? Let me see here. Yeah, 159. I've noticed that whenever the air quality is bad, my nose is not good. Now, I think I have some problems with my nose. I'm going to have to get them addressed. One of these days I will. Probably when I go back to the U.S. because it won't cost me anything. But when there's the pollution is bad, when the level is quite high, I have problems with my nose. I don't particularly like green tea all that much. I'll probably, just because it's you, I'll probably drink an espresso at the Commons. You missed my long drawn-out discussion about Bonanza the other day and how the first couple of years the music wasn't the same. I'm just now starting to get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to see the older stuff because the color isn't quite good. Wow, redirect. What's happening? How you doing? Long time no see. Thank you very much. The first thing I was going to say is now I don't know if, I don't know if this really matters to the people who are regulars, and it shouldn't really. But I just noticed I went into the monetization section of my channel, and I was looking at the shirts and everything like that, and I just maneuvered some stuff around, and he was looking at it, and then all of a sudden I saw this membership thing. And I always thought you have to have a certain number to get to the membership. Maybe I'm already there. I don't know why, because of the minutes or the hours or whatever. But it allowed me to create different levels, kind of like with the Patreon or whatever. So, like in the future, if somebody donates, say, $10 or $5 or whatever it is, then they get these little emojis, kind of like what Soy Dog Cowboy has there. That's supposedly a sticker, I think. Yeah. Wow, that sucks. You're better now? Green tea with mint. I like it with mint, yes. Well, we'll get to that in a minute, John. Don't rush me. I don't do well when I'm under pressure. At least not this kind of pressure. I woke up in the middle of the night, watched some Bonanza. Woke up in the middle of the night like I always do, watched some Bonanza. Fell asleep, woke up, and I was like, man, it's 7:30. Why am I still in bed? Got up, and before I knew it, it's like, no worries, man, no worries. Hope you're better. Got up, and I thought, man, it's already like 8:45. Nicholas is on his way to school. Everybody's busy. We're all busy here. Anyway, I want to get to this little program here. Let's see where we're at now. Well, now the baht had gone up, or gone down rather. The value of the dollar it's gotten stronger. Well, it could be, man. I don't know. I'm going to have to check it. My stomach's been a little bit better, but there are some changes that I've made that have seemed to make it better. Not eating... Really, I'm eating more lean meat. I'm not eating cheese. I'm trying not to eat the peanut butter. And I'm going to cut out the artificial sweeteners, if not for any other reason, because I don't want to be farting, unexpectedly. But the Thai baht was up to about 30.42 to the dollar. Now it's at 30.3653. Monday that may go back up or go down. I don't know. But it seems that with the trade agreement going through between the U.S. and China, that the value of the dollar has gotten better. A little bit. Just a little bit. Had the same problems, but it will get back. What age should men take testosterone? You got to talk to the doctor about that, but I'd say somewhere around 50, 55. Depends. They can do a real quick test. It's not a big deal. They do a quick test. They see where your testosterone level's at. I'm not on this stuff anymore, and I feel just fine. It has nothing to do with my gut. But, once I was in for my gallbladder and the bile duct surgeries, I had to stop taking the stuff. And then once I was off it, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm off that stuff. I'm not taking the shots. Maybe I should go get them. And I'm like, first of all, they've gone up. The price has gone up by, I don't even know how much now, but they have gone up from something like 450 baht to like 1,300. That was when I was this is over a year ago. So now they're probably up to about 1,600. It wouldn't surprise me. Every 3 weeks. You may not think that's a lot, but over the course of a year it is. And I'm like, if it's not making me that much better, if I don't feel that much better, and I feel fine, I have my ups and downs, my aches and pains. But some of that is, I have changed some things that I'm eating. And I feel fine, Okay, so we got the baht there. The air quality is in the toilet. Again, it's 159, which is unhealthy for all groups. 82 degrees here, low of 78, high of 93. It's foggy. Partly cloudy. It's currently 82. High will be 93. 10% chance of rain. 84% humidity. Winds easterly 5 miles per hour. And it feels like, although it's 82, it feels like it's 91. So, that's the weather. That's all that good stuff. By the way, I wanted to show something to you guys. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure some of you have, but let me see if I can find this. Let's see here. Where you at? Let's put this one up. You know, Jono did a real good job for me. Made me look much better than I really look. That is one of the portraits that he did of me. Happy New Year, redirect. The whole world needs to cut down on pollution. Hate to say, but where's it at now? Boy, I'm talking, and this is just a big lag. That's one of the portraits that Jono did, which I like quite a bit. Gennaro, good morning. Good morning. He did a good job there. Let's see the other one that I really... There's two others that I like. Here we go. But I like that one the best, actually. The one in the black shirt. Let's see here. Oops. What's going on? I don't know what happened. Let's see. Oh, this one's huge. This file is huge. That's why. Give me a second here. Phew, man. You know what? I'm just going to take this one out. That one is way too big. What is it? 4908 desktop. Well, I don't have that on the desktop. I'll put the other one up. Alright, this is another one. Boom. I don't know what's going on here. All these are too big. That was one of them, so let me see if I can find the other one, though. Another. It can't be that big. Or can it be? Oh, yeah, it is. 3.4. Let's see. Let me put this up real quick. I can't do it. Give me a second. I feel the need to show off Jono's work before we get into anything. Except I can't find any of it. Here we go. Oh, well. Anyway. That was one of them. No, there's not going to be... There's not going to be... any nudes. I told you guys that. And I think, you know, in all honesty, you know, listen, Jono is a 65-year-old guy. He's not some kid who came here. And he told me this. He said, you know, it really bothers me. Everybody back home thinks he's coming over here because, you know, he's going to be running around in the bars and hanging out with the ladies and all these things. And it's not true. He's not doing that. Now, he does like to party a little bit, but then again, who doesn't? And, you know, everybody's giving him a hard time about it. And he's like, Jesus, do people ever stop? I'm like, eventually. But, you know, it might be a while. All right, now I think I can do it here. Let's see. There we go. That's another one. Yeah, I prefer my beard. Well, I prefer... Listen, I don't like to have the beard because it does get a little itchy. It's a little hot. But as far as the look goes, I prefer the beard. Because as I've said many times, and I've been meaning to shave my head lately, I don't particularly like to look like a turtle. And that's how I look when my head is shaved and my face is shaved. I'm almost 60 years old. If I was 25, I'd have some hair. I'd look a lot better. And so that's the second one that I like. Okay, this is the one right here. Let's see. Open with preview. Size. I gotta size these. I thought I already did this, but holy moly. Oh, what he did there. There we go. Here comes another one. And this is the business. No, I'm not saying he doesn't go to bars, but he doesn't go to bars and hang out like he doesn't go to the go-go bars and the beer bars like to pick up chicks. He's not doing that. He likes to hang out at his house or his place there. And then, if he goes out, it's because he's going to go to a little place in the neighborhood that he goes to once in a while, and he hangs out with people that he meets there, and he's perfectly fine with that. And this is the thing. Like, everybody seems to think that when you come here, it's all about the booty and going out partying. But that stuff wears thin after a while. I mean, if you partied all the time and went out with hookers all the time back home, my guess is most people would get tired of it. Yeah, well, Gennaro, when you live here and you are exposed to it 24/7, it's kind of like being in Vegas. If you're a gambler, and you're a true professional, you're grinding it out. You're not looking for the big score. You're grinding it out day by day, hopefully making a little bit at a time, and over time, you're making some decent money. But otherwise, you're probably not going into the casinos every single day and gambling your money away. It's the same thing with the chicks. If you're in there for it, what I always say is you can come here to have some fun with them. You can come here to see them, but they're not going to keep you here. And if they do, you're here for the wrong reason. Because in the long run, it's not healthy. That's a very simple way for me to put it. And I don't mean to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but, listen, if you're 25 and you want to come here for a year and party your ass off, that's one thing. But if you're, 50, 60 years old, hopefully you'll be a little more established. You're comfortable being alone or whatever. And, once in a while you need a little friend, a little somebody to keep you warm. You either got somebody from a club or a bar or whatever, or you got some, friend that works at the grocery store or wherever it might be, and you got your arrangement and everything's cool. That's what most people here do that are a little bit older, and that are stable mentally. The ones who are sitting in the bar stool all day, every day, well, yeah, okay, but are you half, Gennaro? You come up with these statements, Gennaro, but I hate to tell you. First of all, Hef had the money. He probably didn't have to wipe his own ass if he didn't want to. Those girls probably did everything for him. He only did what he wanted to do. And most people don't live their lives that way. So, I digress talking about this, though. Okay? That is the business portrait that he shot of me. And there are some other ones. I'm not going to show those, though. There's one or two other ones that I'm happy with. But he did a great job. And we actually got it done. We were done with the lunch the other day. And then he set up the lights, made sure he took a couple test shots. Boom. I put on, the one shirt, put on another shirt, changed that one, put another shirt, move this way, move that way. About an hour and 15 minutes later, we were done. And so it was a good experience for both he and I, because I was pretty much the first person who he shot in depth. with his gear. So, and how many, Gennaro, I got to say, how many Hugh Hefners are there in the world? You come to Thailand, you're only a make-believe Hugh Hefner. You're a make-believe Hugh Hefner here. It's like, oh, handsome man. Yeah, 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 you're sure so handsome. Wait until some guy who really is handsome, he's a model, comes into town, and watch how fast those chicks leave you, even the good girls. They'll be gone. Oh, he's so cute. He's so handsome. Oh, lovely. Nalak mak na. Oh. That's the way it works, So anyway, what was I going to talk about today? Places to retire. Yeah, I've already talked about this, but I stumbled onto a couple articles. And there is a difference between, like I'm looking at one article here, the 7 chillest countries. Another one, 9 countries that are relatively easy for Americans to move to. Then I got another one's best countries to retire to. Let's see here. What is this? Okay, so that's it. I guess those 3. And, there's a difference between the chillest countries where getting a visa is ridiculously easy and countries that are easy to move to, and the best countries. If you got money like Hugh Hefner, you could probably live pretty much wherever you want, or at least part-time. You could set up shop and move wherever you want to go. But the point is there's a difference between... I'm just saying that the main draw for me to Thailand would be the women. Once it becomes old for me, I'm leaving. But you're not going to live here, right, Gennaro? You're just coming here to have a trip. You just want to come here for however long you want to come here, and then you want to split. That's a different story. Visiting and living here is different. And, also, I forgot how old you are, Gennaro, but let's say that you're 45. By the time you're 55 or 60, your priorities are going to be a little bit different. I mean, Gennaro, Jono is not like sitting there thinking, oh, okay, well, I got this chick to call today, then I'm going to call that chick, and I got this one that's going to come over, and, this one, I want to go, and I'm going to go with my buddy and hit this bar up. That's not how he lives his life, because most of the time, by the time you get to be my age, most people, they want to piddle around for at least a few hours, and then they're like, hey, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to go get something to eat. Then it's like, oh, it's 8, it's 9, it's dinner time. Well, maybe I'll have a beer with my dinner. They go downstairs or whatever. They go down the street. They have a beer. Like even I've done it here where I used to go to next to the mall. But I'm considering other. I would consider all locations, Gennaro, and I'll get into them in a second. But I used to, next to the Mall Bankabi, there was a place, or there is a place called Tawana. And they used to have Tawana 1, Tawana 2. And they used to have these, next to the mall, they still have little places where you can eat, you can have bottles of whiskey, you can have beer, you can have towers of beer. And then in Taiwan next door, they have those too. And then just behind the mall also is another place where they used to have a bunch of containers. And there was just nothing but bar after bar after bar. So people would get off of work and they'd go there and they'd sit and they'd have their beer and stuff like that. And okay, you can meet some people that way. But a lot of times the girls that are going there are going to be a little bit older. Or they're married, and they might joke around with you, they might flirt with you, whatever. But they might be there with their boyfriend or whatever, and once in a while you might get lucky. But that's a kind of lifestyle that most expats that I know, that's how they live. I mean, Gennaro, it's nothing like it was in 2013, and like I got here in '95, and believe me, and I used to laugh because. When I first started the channel, if you remember, I used to talk about how much. Oh shit! I forgot to turn that off. I used to laugh about how much uh, Thailand had changed and how much it was going to change in 10 years. And I had people tell me, it hasn't changed at all. What are you talking about? Oh, the prices are still the same for this and for that. Okay, some of the prices are the same. Okay? You know, most places are not going to have rent that's $5,000 and they're going to tack on 25%. And you're going to be paying, you know, whatever it works out to. You know, what's that? 1,250 baht, 6,250. You're not going to be. That's not how it works. But as far as the food prices and stuff like that, yeah, they're going up. I mean, listen, you have some noodles at one of the noodle shops around here, and if you want a special, which is a big bowl instead of a regular bowl, it's an extra 10 baht. You know, things have changed. Bottom line, they have changed. And I know that people want to know, you know, oh, okay, where should I retire and all these things. But somebody asked me the other day online, you know, do you think Thailand is finished as a retirement destination? No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't think it is. What I think is, it's changing, and not everybody likes it. I don't particularly like some of the things. I mean, I make it very clear. I don't particularly like some of the things that are going on here. And I understand why some people don't. Do I think it's dead? No, I think it's people who have a fair amount of money. It's not a problem. You know, now Jono has said a couple times that, you know, it's a little more expensive than he thought. But, and, you know, he tends to spend a bit of money on his accommodation. But all in all, you know, if you've got some pension or something, you're making over, say, 80,000, 100,000 a month, if that's what you're bringing in, you can still live here very comfortably, and you can, as long as you're smart with your money, you can have a good life here. I don't see that it's all that difficult. You know, Colombia, I've been to Colombia and I've been to Vietnam. Colombia would take some getting used to, man, for me. Vietnam, less so, but I don't know. You know, one of the things that people don't talk about is the vibe, the mentality of the people, how laid back it is. And one of the things that I said about the Philippines, one of the reasons I gave Thailand as being a better place than the Philippines for me is because of the vibe, because of the general. I'm not saying Filipinos aren't friendly; they are, but the overall vibe in Thailand is got, you know, you got that Mike and Rai, you know, never mind, don't worry, hey, you know, and if you don't get physical or get aggressive, you generally won't have many problems here. So for me, that's the difference. And in Vietnam, I mean, Vietnam was a cool place for me. I love Vietnam. But I don't know about living there. I think people live there. I think here's the thing. If you're living in a place because you have to live there, you probably don't enjoy it as much as you could if you were able to live other places. So let's get into some of those places. All right, because I've been yapping for a long time. We're going to start with well, I said that also, and of course, I have been for a couple of years, ever since I made that video. I need to go back to the Philippines, talk to my Filipino buddies, hang out with them for a while, go out by myself, and then reassess what I think about whether or not I would live there and everything. But I don't think it would. Nothing's gonna. I don't think anything will change. All right, so this article is called "The 7 Chillest." Oh, what happened? Chillest countries where getting a visa is ridiculously easy, and you will see that there are some countries are in all of these lists. The first one is Ireland. You can travel and work for a year post-graduation from college. U.S. visitors can stay for under 90 days with no additional documentation, just your passport. And also, I believe if you want to stay longer, yes, you can Register with immigration for an Irish residence permit, which costs $369. This must be done in the country after your arrival. And then, you've got to be able to show that you have enough money. Let's see here. Which I don't believe they tell you how much money is necessary. But working there is a little difficult. Now, if you're a writer or you're a photographer who travels around or something and they don't say, oh, well, you've got a little storefront and, you don't have a work permit, well, then you're going to be fine. Yeah, okay. New Zealand, they have New Zealand on this list. They have a visa that helps you work towards permanent residency. Okay, we're going to go through this rather quickly. Costa Rica, which is, okay. Pensiona program grants residency with an approved fixed retirement income of at least $1,000. There you go, Gennaro. Well, John, let me go down the list. I know you're anxious, but okay, where are we at? Advertisements. Oh, what is this advertisement for? Singapore. Oof. Live a high-rise lifestyle in a rapidly growing urban environment. Wow. It says that application processing time can take 6 months or longer. There's a long-term visit pass, blah, blah, blah. You got to be related to a citizen. I don't know why they have this on here. This is supposedly a chilled place. And it says here, if you're going to work there, the employer must apply. Your salary must meet $3,600 or above. That's Singaporean dollars. And then you get a, what is this thing called? A pass for the... Finally, oh. You know what? I hate using that mouse. And that's why. Turn that goddamn thing off. All right, let me see. We're back. Employee passes are granted by the Ministry of Manpower. Okay, so this is, I guess, is your... lasts for 2 years and is eligible for renewal. I don't get Singapore, sorry. Canada, okay. Here's the one I've seen quite a bit. Svalbard, Norway. The easiest thing about moving here is the immigration policies. But life on Svalbard is tough, really tough. The weather is dark and cold in the negative 20s in the winter with 24 hours of darkness. Polar bears stalk the fields and jobs are highly competitive. Their largest town, Longyearbyen, has a population of over 2,000 and there are no roads connecting it. This is a move for only the bravest explorer. Yeah, that doesn't sound like fun. Spain. Temporary residency in Spain can grant you anywhere from 90 days to under 5 years, depending on your situation. Everything is in Spanish. You can get a rough translation with Google Translate, blah, blah, blah. Humanitarian efforts during your stay. You can apply for a non-profit temporary residency. You'll be able to work with the organization you're applying for. However, you cannot receive any financial compensation and must be able to support yourself while living in Spain by other means. Applicants must have health insurance and meet health code regulations on arrival. A corresponding visa and foreign identity card will need to be acquired from a local consulate. Their websites seem to be more challenging than others to navigate and comprehend the rules and regulations. A native Spanish speaker might find them more user-friendly. Blah, blah, blah. That's it. That's 9 right there, or 7 right there. Now, This next one is 9 countries that are relatively easy for Americans to move to. This is for Americans. Mexico. All right. Well, you know that Mexico is going to be on there for Americans. I've always said Portugal. I like Portugal. Portugal, from what I've seen of it, from what I know of it. But Mexico, let's see here. You get option 1. Temporary resident visas can be renewed for up to 4 years and come in lucrative or non-lucrative classifications. Okay. You can also get a 6-month visa in Mexico. New Zealand, they have New Zealand on there again. You have to demonstrate a cash reserve of at least 4,200 New Zealand dollars. That's about $3,000 to be considered. If you're over 30, it's a little more difficult. That's if you're under 30. If you're over, it's going to be more difficult. New Zealand is the first world's escape plan. Let's see here. Cost of living is about 10% higher than in the U.S., and rent and housing prices are still rising. Now, here's one, and I don't get this. I don't understand it. Israel. And that's for, it says, passed in 1950, Israel's law of return grants all Jewish people the right to citizenship. I don't get Israel as an easy place to migrate to. Sorry. Canada. Again, Canada's on the list. 300,000 plus Americans living there. Let's see. If you're a convicted felon, forget about it. Okay, Svalbard again in Norway. There you go. American immigrants there, only a hearty handful. Because why it's easy? Because the only document you need to relocate is your passport. Only 2,600 people live here, 90% of whom huddle in Longyearbyen, a settlement on the icy island of Spitsbergen that's home to an airport, a sushi restaurant, and a brewery. Violent crime is practically non-existent outside a few bar fights. Drinking heavily is a popular activity, as is bugging out at the Northern Lights. The climate is brutal 4 months of the year. Svalbard doesn't see sunlight, and temperatures can drop to minus 20-something Fahrenheit. In the summer, snow falls. Given how easy it would be to freeze, homelessness is effectively illegal. Without an address, you will be deported. Gun ownership is a must. You're required to carry a firearm outside city limits to ward off polar bears. Even kindergartners shoot reindeer. The 3 primary industries are coal mining, tourism, and research, so unless you're a scientist, miner, or fluent in Norwegian and Russian, plan to make money online or live off savings. This relocation fantasy isn't for wimps. Okay, I agree with that. I don't think I'd want to live there. Well, let me get to the list. If you let me get to the list, I'll go down it and we can discuss the other places when we're done. I haven't even, I'm like 50% of the way done. The United Kingdom. Oof. American immigrants there, 212,000. Why it's easy? Because there are a wealth of U.S. companies with UK offices, and if you're sharp and calculating, you can get one of these employers to sponsor you for a work visa. To legally hold a job in the UK, you need a working visa, and you can't apply for one without a job offer. And often, they'll only grant you a fixed amount of time before you have to return home. But surely you have 10 friends from college who worked in London. Facebook message them. Get on LinkedIn and do the same. Wait 2 months, email a lot, spend hours on the phone. That doesn't sound like fun to me. The catch, the cost of living is exorbitant. The tube is not only a pain in the arse, but more expensive than the New York subway. $162 for a monthly pass compared to $121. Also, Brexit and now Megxit. Now, see, I don't get this. Hungarian. Longyear City. Gotcha. Yes, Svalbard is a Norwegian territory. Definitely. All right, the next one. Let me see here. I got to look at this. Now, this is 9 countries that are relatively easy for Americans to move to. This is not the best. This is just 9 countries. This is, this is the warm-up. This is the preamble. Japan. American immigrants there, 50,000. Because job teaching English are plentiful and will only hire native speakers. That means you. There are government-sponsored exchanges in private language schools. The former is far more lucrative, albeit far more competitive. Both options require a 4-year college degree and a TEFL certificate, the cost of which you'll have to front. Both will get you in the country with a working visa. The catch, the Japanese work better, faster, and harder. The language barrier puts you at an inherent disadvantage, so unless you possess flawless fluency and the discipline of an Olympic athlete, you probably shouldn't waste time competing for any sort of traditional position. The teaching market has gradually become saturated with giddy American interlopers like you, so maybe you should look into teaching English in China, no thank you, or South Korea. And, I've heard that from several people. And, if you're going to go there, I don't know. I mean, I think that the mentality of the Japanese, and to a lesser extent the Americans, is wrong. And I'm talking about the workplace mentality. My buddy used to tell me, hey, man, I don't live to work. Wait a minute, is that what it is? I don't live to work, I work to live. Yeah, I don't live to work, I work to live. So, in other words, he didn't want to spend all of his time killing himself so that other people made money in a job that maybe he wasn't 100% happy with or even anywhere near happy with. You bust your ass, and then, you go to Japan and you're going to go teach English there, which is not to me, and I did it only briefly, was not a wonderful place, wonderful way of making a living, nor was it all that much fun. There were periods, little laughs you got, like the kid who raised his hand and he was jumping up and down and I was in the middle of something, so I didn't call on him, and then finally he just blurted out, put key, which means he had to go take a dump. And I couldn't stop laughing. The whole class was laughing. And I went, go, it's okay. Okay, you have your little fun periods like that. You have your chuckles. But for me, it wasn't all that much fun. So I don't know why anybody would want to go live there unless they're fascinated with Japanese culture and, they don't mind it or whatever. Okay. They enjoy teaching. I think that's why you should teach. Okay, the next one is Ireland. That's number 8. Okay, let's see here. Irish is unlike other Europeans, the Irish actively like us being Americans. Inishturk, a small island off the west coast, even invited disillusioned Americans to join its dwindling community after the 2016 election. Walk into any pub, say the word awesome or dude, and suddenly you have a bar full of new friends. The catch, outside the working holiday agreement, it's tricky for Americans to work legally in Ireland. You can't even apply for a work permit without an employment offer, or prospective contract, and employers have to show the job couldn't go to a local. This policy isn't unique to Ireland, but here they really mean it. There's a housing crunch in Dublin. Rents are affordable outside the city, but then you need a car because even mail seems to travel faster than the bus. The people are lovely, so find one to marry, but just don't get divorced. That process takes 4 to 5 years. Interesting. I've always thought about going to Ireland just because that's where my family originates from, at least partially. So, you know. I did see that there are Thai people there. Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, wow. It said something like there's a growing number of people, foreigners going there, and they named a couple of them, and Thai was one of them. I went, really? Thais are going there? But, for the money, people will do it. You work crappy jobs. You do whatever job it is, whether it's good, crappy, or not. You deal with the elements, and you just go, hey, it's for this period of time, and then, we can build a house on the farm or whatever it might be. You do what you got to do. Okay, last but not least on this list is Bali, Indonesia. Apparently, there are approximately 12,000 Americans in Indonesia. I didn't hear that it was easy, though. I heard it was a little bit difficult. Major reason for so many expats is that Southeast Asia offers a social visa, an affordable single-entry visa that's easily renewable for up to 6 months. 6 months might not seem like much of a guarantee for such a far-flung place, but the task of tracking down a sponsor letter from an Indonesian citizen may seem daunting, but there is a well-worn hack to the system. The hack: Balinese travel agents who will magically and affordably produce an invitation letter from a local sponsor, even if you never set foot on the equator-straddling nation. Hack to the hack: use Google to find one, then telephone to confirm. With that paperwork, which will be delivered by mail or FedEx, you can apply for the visa through your local Indonesian embassy, and then once granted, move. Fly to Singapore, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I had a friend that was married to an Indonesian there, and he got in. This is what I like. If you do choose Bali specifically, which you will, because everyone knows English, you'll surely encounter a pilgrimage of white Westerners who, faced with some personal crossroads, are getting on their eat, pray, love. Ugh. That alone would make me want to live somewhere where there are not many foreigners. Yeah, there's a lot of Thais in like North Hollywood and L.A. Oh, shit. Let's see. Where am I at? Money for some other legal means to save you. Most foreigners rely on online work. In Bali, the medical infrastructure is weak. A smattering of clinics and one hospital, so there's a steady stream of people heading to Singapore or Bangkok for surgeries as well as visas. Also, road rash is the lifestyle. Everyone gets around on scooters and motorbikes, but hey, maybe that's your thing. Okay, now, let's see here. Best countries to retire to, and this is from about a year ago from Inspire. What is that? Let me see. Well, John Davis, you're the one who asked the best places to retire. If you know all these places, then why are you asking? Today's today. Let's see what happened. Oh, I just got a message from Hong Kong. I haven't forgot about Hong Kong, by the way. It seems like not that many people are interested in it more, or, like I always say, most people, and what I learned quite some time ago, and I saw a video about it, and I think it applies to many things. They're not good, John. Are you kidding me? Why would they be good? Tell me why Guam is good. Okay, Guam is a possibility. Saipan are possibilities. But if you are an American and you are, say, not one of them, there are a lot of negatives to living there. I know somebody who lives on Guam, and he said to me, "I'm lucky I travel all the time and I'm not there much." And he was a pretty together dude. But Guam and Saipan, sorry. Kiev, really, get out of here. Dude, come on. Ukraine is, the cost of living in the Ukraine is fairly cheap, but there's a lot of reasons why you don't want to live in the Ukraine. There are better places to live than the Ukraine. So, again, I'm going to say to you, though, if you know all these places, why are you asking me to hurry up and get to the places? Because you already know all these great places. You know what I'm saying? And these places, I'm sorry, they're not that great. It's kind of like Svalbard. I doubt it's going to be on this next list. It may be an easy place to get to, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a great place to live. And Guam, from what I understand, let me look at something here. Because I had looked at this before. I was interested, and I'm always interested in knowing about places where Americans can live. Yeah, here we go. Approximately monthly expenses for a two-person household. Monthly rent for a 900 square foot furnished accommodation is in an expensive area is about 2,500. In a normal area is about 1,800 US. Just for your place to stay. That's a normal place. Okay, I'm saying Portugal is probably one of the better places in Europe right now. I will agree with that. And Portugal is a place I've looked at some of the islands. I don't remember the name of the one island that I checked out, and it's actually a pretty good place, at least to stay for like 3 months out of the year or something like that. There used to be the guy and the girl for 8 miles from home or whatever, and they moved to Portugal. I haven't followed their channel in a long time. I don't know where they are, but I think they're still living in Portugal. But they are, I believe, they were able to stay there without any problems. And as far as Guam and Saipan, I don't think that the people take to them. Let me see here. I don't think they like Americans being there. I don't think that they're thrilled that the Americans are there. I don't think that if you move there, they're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? This is a fantastic place for you." I don't think that that's the mentality. I don't think that people are used to it. I think they just they want to be. Maybe that was Saipan. I don't remember. There was one place, and I was like, "Oh, wow, doesn't sound like they're too friendly." Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in Saipan. Guam might be better. I don't know, but we're not talking about that anyway. Italy, Jesus Christ. All right, I'm going to go down this list here. All right, number one on the, well, it's not number one. It's just basically the best countries to retire to. Okay? The first one I see is Malaysia. Modern amenities are set to pretty reasonable prices, allowing you to live conveniently and comfortably. You'll find great malls for shopping, low-cost rental units, and delicious street food, making living here very easy. That's it? That's all they got? Wow, that doesn't tell me a whole lot. The next one is Costa Rica, and it says for $1,000 a month you can have a high standard of living there. Mexico, although it does mention about the crime rate. Panama, which has long been a place for people to go. If you can make $2,000 every month, that can cover modest living costs. The temperatures are quite nice because of the ocean breeze. There's an active expat community. Blah, blah, blah. Colombia, which I knew that one was going to be on there, and I know there's another one on here that I know about. Put it into perspective. If you are spending anywhere between $1,700 and $2,200 a month, you'll have access to upscale apartments, fantastic cleaning service, and you'll still be left with a good chunk of change for groceries and other activities. This is Colombia. And the next one is the one that I've mentioned before, is Ecuador. Wow, that's all they have on there. That's their list. Let me see here. Okay, here's the one. Let's see if Portugal's on there. No, it's not on there. Wow. Well, Portugal is a good option for many people. Italy, I think the cost of living in Italy is fairly high, and I don't think it's all that easy for you to stay there. Well, why not just stay in Asia, John? And not worry about visas? Seriously, I don't agree with that, okay? I don't think it's I think there are better options. I mean, if you're going to spend the money, just think about it. To fly from Guam and back, and you want to be in Asia, say, twice a year for 3 months, why not just stay in Thailand? You should have the money to be able to stay then. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Medellin, Cuenca, Ecuador, yes. Ecuador is a place. My friend bought a house there and some land, $100,000, and his place is fantastic. I've seen it. He sent me video of the place and everything, video from start to finish, and the place is it's awesome. Really, it's a really nice place, and it's a couple 100 feet from the beach. Very nice. Yeah, that's the difference between, for Americans at least, is the whole, going to Asia is a long flight. It takes a lot of time. And it's draining, and it's a pain in the ass to fly back and forth. You know, one of the reasons that I don't go to the U.S. more is because of the money, and because we've got to have 4 people go, and, we're dealing with 4 flights instead of 1. But also because it's such a long flight, man. And, you got to figure, okay, you got to get there. I never think just how long is the flight time. I don't ever think that way. Okay? I always think about going to the airport. How long does it take me to get there? How long do I have to be there in advance? That in itself is probably about 4 hours. Okay? And then on the way back, is there a layover on the way over or whatever? So you're talking really, by the time for me to get from here to my home in Florida, let's see, 2 hours, another 6 hour. So that's 8 hours plus 4 hours is 12 hours. 12 hours plus, let's say, 18 or 20 hours. You're talking about, it's a day and a half to go and come back. To go, rather. Sorry. Or to come back. That's what I meant. Yeah, layovers, the trip to get to the airport, sitting in traffic, to get through immigration, the time before the flight where you're sitting around waiting to get on the plane. Then you get off the plane, and, you got to go through customs, immigration. There's all that stuff, Yeah, so that's not terrible. Go to Tokyo is like 8 hours from here. That's not a bad flight for me. Because, you get settled in, there's an hour. Boom, gone. Right? The last hour, you figure, hey, the last hour is, oh, I'm almost there. So you got 6 hours in the middle to really have to worry about. And that, if you fall asleep a couple of hours, you watch a movie, you do a little work, whatever, it goes away. Let me tell you, I don't enjoy traveling as much as I used to. I really don't. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I thought, all right, what exactly is it that I want for me and for our family? What is it that I want? Where is the place for me? And it always comes back to being somewhere around the beach. That kind of the island life or something like that. Well, that doesn't come cheap. So then you got to think about, okay, so what can I do there? How am I going to continue to make money? What can people, is it easy to get around? Is it easy to go back and forth? I understand why people live in Koh Samui, but I don't think I would want to live there. I'd want to live on another island. Um, you know. But in answer to the one guy's question about Thailand, do I think that Thailand is dead as a retirement destination? No, I don't. But they've made it a little more difficult because they want people with more money. And believe me, the prices are going up. It is getting more expensive. Baht is still the same versus the dollar. When it first came on to now, it hasn't changed at all. But it's still a viable destination for some people. Would I do it again now? If I had the money, would I come here? No, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't. I'd find somewhere else. I don't particularly mind Mexico. I like Mexico, parts of Mexico. I consider Costa Rica. In fact, my wife has looked into that. She's looked, oh, it's so beautiful here. And who knows, maybe one day, it's a good place for me to go with the wife, but we always have to think about our kids, that changes the whole dynamic when you got kids. So for those guys who are coming over here and you are retired, I suggest doing a Jono, and that's staying alone. You can have friends. You can have friends with benefits. You can have, whatever you want. But if you get married, and especially if you have kids, it definitely changes your life. It changes how you can live your life and your mobility and, your future and all these other things. I had a buddy from the UK. He went to Singapore for work, and then he didn't particularly like it there, but he liked the money he was making. Finally, when he made enough money, his contract was up for renewal, and he just went, you know what, I'm going back to the UK. And he went back with his Thai wife and 3 kids. And, they were young enough where they could still assimilate into the system. And he's quite happy, So some of the stuff has to do with timing, which is why I don't agree with some of their things. If you're a young guy and you got money, let's say that you're 30 years old and you've managed to stash $75,000 and you've got an internet company that basically does everything. Let's say you've got an internet hosting company or something like that, and the money's going to keep coming in. You want to live in Svalbard. You want to check it out and see how it is. Well, if you're a fairly young guy, you probably can handle it a little bit easier than somebody who's 60 years old and got health problems. Now, whether or not you're going to be, you're going to have a friend to keep you warm at night, I don't know about that. I have no idea about those things there. But, well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the allures for many men. But again, I will say, the other thing that happens is that most of the women, well, I think it's a matter of how much is rich, because you don't have to be rich. You really don't have to be rich. But what usually happens is either the woman, she thinks that because you guys have been friends with benefits for a year or two, that you should be more than that. That you should be committed. You shouldn't have other people or blah, blah, blah. Or the man ends up going, maybe I'll make an honest woman out of her. Or, I enjoy her being around, and sure would be easier if we were married. They come up and they change they lose they lose their focus on the finish line. Well, I wouldn't live there because I don't want to be eaten by a polar bear. And, I'm sure you can get around that. You learn about that. It's kind of like, living in Alaska. There are bears everywhere. When I worked on the boats, we would go into this place, King Cove, and you used to walk to the store. They'd have, the store there. You could buy all. I mean, it was huge, but I don't know that it was huge, but you could buy just about everything. You could buy food, you could buy boots, you could buy jackets, clothes. You buy whatever you want, whatever you needed. It was the store. You walk back and forth from the boat. There was only one way to go. And you could see at the top of the hill, there were bears up there because that's where they put the garbage. So you always had to keep an eye on them to make sure they weren't going to run down the hill. You always had to have the escape route, and I didn't particularly like that. So if you're in the middle of Alaska somewhere and you got your own land, yeah, that's great. But then one day you walk outside, or your wife walks outside, and there's a bear 5 feet away from her, and she doesn't have a gun in her hand. That might be the end. And that's not the way that I want to go, And polar bears, no thank you. Getting eaten by an animal, bears, sharks, tigers, crocodiles, not the way I want to go. I want to try to avoid that and always have the advantage. So, we're back to square one again, which is, and I've got this. I always think about this, but I've got, if you got plenty of money, you can always move to Switzerland. You can move to Austria. You can move to France and live in the Alps somewhere. I mean, there's all kinds of options. It's a matter of how much money do you have, how do you want to live. If I was a single guy, I'd probably have a one-bedroom house. A one-bedroom apartment, one-bedroom house, and that's it. And in one of the rooms, I'd have a little desk where, just like I do now, I'd have the desk, I'd have my laptop, I'd have a little TV or whatever, and that's about it. Some tourists had already been lunch for bears in Spalberg because they didn't want to listen to the locals. Yeah, that's not too bright, especially when it comes to getting eaten. I would be listening to those locals, and I would be saying, is there anything else? Did you forget anything? So anyway, that's about it for the retirement gig. Now, as always, I got to say a little something. We want to live good on a modest income. Well, what's wrong with Thailand? What's wrong with Vietnam? What's wrong with Cambodia? There is no best country. That's the thing. There is no best. It depends on your needs, your wants, your resources. Now, I do have one more. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. 10 countries where you can stay indefinitely on a tourist visa. Be advised, every nation's Border Patrol and Customs agents have the right to deny you entrance regardless of you being in possession of a valid passport and visa. This is interesting. Georgia. Georgia has one of the most liberal tourist visa policies in the world. Citizens of many nations enter visa-free and stay in Georgia for an entire year straight before needing to exit and re-enter. Mexico, you can stay visa-free for 6 months, most citizens. Panama, same, 6 months. Argentina, 90 days. Chile, 90 days. But you can get an extension for another 90 days, so 180 days. Costa Rica, 90 days. Taiwan, 90 days. Cambodia, you can pay $35 for a 30-day visa, which can then be indefinitely renewed for longer periods of time. China, no, we don't want to live in China. Citizens of most nations must apply and obtain a Chinese visa prior to entering China. The length of a tourist visa can range from being only a 1-month single-entry visa all the way up to a 10-year multiple entry available to U.S. citizens. Those with multiple entries visas to China can reset their stay by making a quick border hop. Going to Hong Kong or Macau count as exiting mainland China. Number 10, Russia, citizens of the United States can obtain a 3-year tourist visa to Russia. It allows you to stay for 181 days per entry. It's $300. The bonus for U.S. citizens only is Albania, and I did know somebody who lived there. He stayed there for a couple years. Citizens of the United States may enter visa-free and stay in Albania for an entire year straight before needing to exit and re-enter. Wow. Let's see here. It's illegal to die in Svalbard. Jesus Christ. Let's see here. How Americans can legally stay in Europe for more than 90 days. United Kingdom and Europe. These two islands have their own individually enforced borders. An American stay for 6 months straight in UK and 90 days straight in Ireland. A person can spend time in Ireland or the UK if they're waiting for their Schengen visa to reset. Bounce around the Balkans. The Balkans. Serbia, Macedonia, Montenegro, Albania. Americans can stay a year at Albania. Kosovo, Bosnia, Ukraine all have their independent borders. This doesn't tell me much. 3-year Russian tourist visa. Old bilateral agreements with Poland and Hungary. Looks like you're allowed to stay 90 days and go back to, you can go to Hungary and then come back, stay another 90 days. Yeah, this article's kind of shit. Georgia, Albania, no thanks. Actually, the guy in Albania liked it a lot. And I met him here in Thailand, and then he ended up going and studying. He did his some dissertation, some thesis or whatever he did in Albania. Oh. Czech Republic. I've heard a lot of good things about the Czech Republic. Hungary? You mean Hungary? Let's go to Hungary. Anyway, moving on to the next segment. Like I said, I haven't forgot about Hong Kong. Or the Communist Party. I don't know why anybody at this point would want to go live in China. I have no idea. I mean, I understand that you can be interested in Chinese culture and this kind of thing. I just don't know why you'd want to live there. I mean, Bruce, he's out on a bike ride today, so he's not going to be in the stream. But he lived in China. I know several people who have lived in China, and they were happy to leave. And then you have the people, I don't know these people, but you got the guy from the YouTube channels, the Serpent Z guy, Serpent ZA. You got the Lao Y guy, and all of them have left China because they just find it too intrusive. I personally don't particularly think a government needs to know the color of your shit. How many corn, what do you call them? How much corn is in your shit or whatever. What is the composition of your poo? I don't think that they need to know all these things. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't like that intrusive government mentality where they believe they have the right to be that intrusive. I don't think they do. Now, let me see here. I'm going to read something. The other day I was talking about how the director of the Human Rights Watch was banned entrance into Hong Kong because Hong Kong said that they've done so many things. They really have been working on human rights and that they are top notch and that, how could anybody say anything negative about them, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, then, this is a perfect example. You're not going to let me in because I question what you're saying and you won't let me in. What does that say? So he ended up giving his speech at the United Nations in New York, and I'm going to read something that he wrote. Because the Chinese government depends on repression to stay in power, it sees the defense of human rights as threatening. But to prevent global criticism of its tightening domestic crackdown, Beijing is increasingly undermining the international system for protecting human rights, putting everyone in greater jeopardy. To maintain its grasp on power at home, now this is what I really don't like. The Chinese Communist Party has constructed an Orwellian high-tech surveillance state and a sophisticated internet censorship system to monitor and suppress public criticism. Now China has begun to use its growing economic and diplomatic clout to extend that censorship abroad, silencing critics and carrying out the most intense attack on the global system for enforcing human rights seen since its emergence in the mid-20th century. If not challenged, Beijing's actions portend a dystopian future in which no one is beyond the reach of Chinese censors, and an international human rights system so weakened that it no longer serves as a check on government repression. And this is the thing, I really think that at this point, the Hong Kong issue is something that people go, oh, yeah, there's stuff going on in Hong Kong. We know about that. That's about it. There's a lot of people, they don't even know what's going on. They have no clue. They're asleep at the wheel. They still are. And there are people that know about what's going on, and they, for whatever reasons, they either don't care, they're apathetic, they don't have time to worry about it or to get involved in it. And I understand all these things, but the other day, the Hong Kong CEO, Carrie Lam, who I find extremely distasteful. And the reason I find her distasteful is because she is one of those people who continually puts a turd on a plate and tells you that you're getting a gourmet meal. It's like putting a lipstick on a pig. It just doesn't work. Yeah, well, there's got to be a compromise. There's a fine line between, listen, this is why the United States, they had the issue in the Civil War about slavery, because if you want to get into human rights versus economics, well, of course the slaves and the Chinese helped build America. They are the ones who did it because they were cheap labor. I understand that there is a trade-off, but you have to have a fine line because you just can't treat people like that. And then the other thing is, I always remember this, one day it could be you. One day it could be you that's under their thumb. But anyway, getting back to Carrie Lam. One of the 5 demands that I believe is extremely worthwhile, and that I think the people, the government should meet this demand. They should abide by this. They should try to give the people what they want on this demand. Is that, whatever you say, John. Slaves had a large part of building America and the economic system in America. Just think about cotton. But anyway, I'm not going to get into a long, drawn-out debate about that, because that's not what the point is. The CEO goes in front of the legislature the other day, and I believe I put an article up or a video up of her talking about this. And she's talking about she's talking about various things, and the people in the legislature were calling her a liar. Telling her she didn't do what she said what she should do. They're basically disrupting her speech because they felt it necessary and because she doesn't listen. Yeah, but John, stick to the subject, dude. I don't give a shit what China thinks about America. Listen. You don't want to know what I think about China, because I'm not going to say it on this chat. I've been very diplomatic about my feelings, and my feelings about what happens in Hong Kong and what's happened in with China around the world. I try to keep them in check because my feelings don't matter. My opinions don't really matter. All that matters is, when I'm in Hong Kong, do I take pictures that are important or that sell? That's really what is important. But let me see if I can find this here. Because there was an article, not just the video, but I have the video up. I believe I shared that video on my Facebook. Excuse me. Well, I do have a picture up here, and there's a girl with a big, I think is it a trombone? A tuba. It's a tuba. And the girl holding the tuba, it's written over her back, Hong Kongers. And then she's got the tuba over the face of another girl, and it says Carrie Lam on her jacket. And then it says, "Do you hear the people sing?" Because Carrie Lam doesn't listen. And so, yeah, here's the thing right here. Let's see. Ugh. What is this? John, really, the American South is poor, not rich from slavery. That's not what I said. I didn't say anything about that. So, really, you're starting to get a little bit irritating here because you're talking out your ass about stuff that we're not even talking about. It's unrelated, okay? Let's see here. Let me get to this. Is this it? Yeah, this is the one. Okay. Yeah, see, this one guy says, "My question is very simple. Do you know what shame is?" And she doesn't answer. And then they start to get on her about, do you understand that people believe, and not only Hong Kongers, that the police are brutalizing citizens, especially innocent citizens? And she refuses to acknowledge this. And she has said, what we are willing to, this is one of the demands, is that they want an independent investigation into police brutality. What she's saying they will do is they will do an investigation or an inquiry. Basically, they're going to make a report on the causes of these protests. Has nothing to do with the police. The people are saying to her, "No, we want you to investigate the police," and she's saying, "We will investigate the causes of the unrest, the civil unrest." She doesn't even acknowledge that there is brutality, and I've seen it firsthand. So it's not like I'm just talking out my ass, and I know there's a lot of other people that are people who have been there photographing or covering the what's going on there, and they feel exactly the same way. That the police, while they are justified in some cases, in many cases, they are shooting tear gas into people that are just standing there doing nothing. They're wondering what's going on, and next thing you know, they're in the middle of the tear gas. Or they're shooting people in the face, or they're, whatever. They're doing all these things that they should be beating up kids. Kids that are 15, 16 years old, they're beating them up. Somebody calls them a pig, and then they think that gives them the right to beat the hell out of them. Listen. Again, I'm not one of these guys who, I believe that people should listen to the police, but when it comes to police brutalizing innocent citizens, and I'm not saying that all the protesters were innocent of anything. They're not. They have done some things. When they start breaking out lights and breaking up Starbucks and HSBC and things like that, and yes, they may be trying to attack the system. They may be trying to attack the Chinese government that way. But it's still wrong what they're doing. If they want to try to attack it, they need to try to stick within the law somehow, which I think they're doing more and more. But, to completely ignore what's going on is flat out ridiculous. Let me see something else here. I'm looking at this. I do not accept people describing the handling of the 7 months long social unrest as involving police brutality. That's flat out what she says. But if somebody treated her the way that they've treated these other people, I dare say she wouldn't be saying this. So, we could talk about this until we're blue in the face. A lot of people, it doesn't really matter to them. They don't care. But I do have something else here. Let me see here. Let me get back into this. The Chinese government is not only the only threat to human rights today, but it stands out for its reach and influence. Just as longtime authoritarian governments welcome Chinese assault on human rights, the rise of populist autocrats has caused several governments that could once have been rallied, at least on occasion, to defend rights, now to act at best haphazardly. The consequence? Far from being spurned as a global pariah, the Chinese government is courted the world over. Its unelected president receiving red carpet treatment wherever he goes, and the country hosting prestigious events such as the 2022 Winter Olympics. For the cause of human rights, this creates a dangerously destructive combination of a powerful centralized state, coterie of like-minded rulers, a void of leadership among countries that might have stood for human rights, and a disappointing collection of democracies willing to sell the rope that is strangling the system of rights that they purport to uphold. Beijing's motives stem from the fragility of rule by repression rather than popular consent. And the same goes for Hong Kong. Despite decades of impressive economic growth in China, driven by hundreds of millions of people finally allowed to lift themselves out of poverty, the Chinese Communist Party is running scared of its own people. In the absence of elections, the party knows its legitimacy depends largely on a growing economy. Chinese leaders thus fear that slowing growth will lead to greater demands from the public for more say in how it is governed. Under President Xi Jinping, the modest opening that had existed in recent years for people to express themselves on matters of public concern is decisively closed. Civic groups have been shut down. Independent journalism is no more. Online conversations have been curtailed, replaced with orchestrated sycophancy. Officials still boast of the country's economic progress, but increasingly censor information about the widening income inequality, even as they manage discriminatory access to public benefits and exploit selective corruption prosecutions. Meanwhile, in rural areas, 30% of Chinese children are left behind as their parents are obliged to seek work in other parts of the country. This is about as truthful as it gets when it comes to China. And the problem with China is that, in my opinion, just an opinion, the problem with the Chinese government and the CCP is that anybody who criticizes them is viewed as an attacker and thus either beat down, ignored, or they try to, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not demoralize. Well, they attack their reputation. So that anybody who's trying to say things about them, they must be a loser. They must have a motive that is anti-Chinese or whatever. Listen, it's not about anti-Chinese. There's a lot of good Chinese people out there. There are. But it's about what their government has been doing. And when I see it in Hong Kong, I know that there's a limited amount that I can do and that other people can do. But I still believe, to this day, and today, there is a huge gathering. Let me see something here. Wake up, sunflowers. Get the hell out of the flower bed and into battle. Yeah, it starts at 3 o'clock today, which is 2 o'clock here in Thailand. All the boys over there are meeting at 1. And it's supposed to be a fairly big event. And they denied I talked about this the other day. They denied the letter of no objection. It's worse than demonize. It destroy their reputation or whatever. I forget what the word was I was thinking of. But thank you. But today there's supposed to be an event, and they applied for a letter of no objection, which would make their march legal, and they were denied. Why they were denied, I don't know. I still don't know. Sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't. The problem is that when they legalize it, then supposedly people veered off the path. There was some reason somebody insulted a police officer, and then they start spraying pepper spray. The people get pissed off. Then they start screaming and yelling, and then the police they escalate, and then before you know it, it's a mess. When it's illegal, the people aren't even supposed to be there. They're not supposed to be gathering, but yet they gather anyway, and they get just a little bit of leeway. And then what happens is the cops come in, they block everybody off, they put up the flags, and they say, "You can't do this. You can't express yourself. You can't assemble." Yes, defame is a good word. It wasn't the word I was looking for, but defame is along the same lines as what I was thinking of. But thank you. And so what they do is they box them in. They have nowhere else to go. If they go to the right, there's cops there. They go to the left, there's cops. They go straight ahead, there's cops. They go behind them, there's cops. They can't get out. So they tell them to disperse. Well, they stand there. They don't know what to do. They think, which way do I go? Some people leave, some people don't. And that's when they start building they make things a little difficult. They start building the barriers. And they start getting things like Molotov cocktails. Now, I can tell you that Simon V, who in the chat sometimes, Simon told me he's going to be wearing his bulletproof vest today because they've been finding more and more weapons over there. And they've been finding bombs. They've been finding guns. So this is a situation. It's not going away, which is why I'm still trying to go back. Disparage, yes. Thank you, Richard. Good morning, by the way, or good afternoon, or whatever it is. But that is the reason why I still think that it's a place to go, and it's important. I also think Iran is important, but like if I look at I'm going to look right quick here at the news, as I always do. I haven't done it today. I did it last night. Yeah, they're talking. Of course, they're talking about the impeachment of Trump and the trial. They're talking about Megxit. Utah boy arrested after shooting that killed 4. A woman who lost her bank job after giving a struggling man $20 of her own money. Now, this is on the front page of Fox's website. I don't get it. How important? I mean, listen, put it in the local section. Terms of the new royal agreement. This is on CNN. U.S. operation in Iraq coming to a humiliating end as Trump's Iran moves backfire. Of course, they're going to trash Trump. They don't have anything about, wow, that's pretty wild. They don't have, oh, here we go. It's going to be devastating. Senators prepare for impeachment trials rules. So they got the impeachment. They've got the U.S. operation in Iraq. They've got the terms of the new royal agreement. MSG in Chinese food isn't unhealthy. You're just racist, activists say. Yeah, okay, sure. Everybody's a racist. Everybody's this. Everybody's that. It's like, you know what? Shut up. Just shut up. There's still the sticks and stones. I still go by that. I still believe in that. Yeah, well, but they also said that his organization specifically has made life difficult for uh, Chinese because of the fact that he's telling lies. So, you know, what is the point of that? Most people know at this point that China is a huge propaganda machine. They are, and so is the United States. But I think in this case, I honestly believe that probably in the next 5 or 10 years, the CCP is going down the toilet. They're going to be done. I don't think that they're going to be able to keep this kind of nonsense up. And that's why I think it's so important that people keep chipping away at them. But, then it's like, okay, so let's say that the CCP goes away. Then what? Then what are you going to have? Who's to say that things are going to be any better? Let's see here. This is on Reuters. Reuters on the front page. Oh, Harry, Meghan to drop titles and retire as working royals. Okay, are they really that important? I mean, okay, I understand to the UK and, to different parts of the world, yes, they're important, but do they need to be front and center? Then they have the impeachment, something about impeachment here. What? Impeachment document. Democrats say Trump endangers security. Ugh. Yeah, right. Virginia top House Republican warns white supremacist garbage to stay away from the gun rally. When they start talking about taking people's guns away, and they're trying to impeach a president that most people are, well, I can't say most people, that many people, first of all, was legally voted in, and it seems like it's a flimsy case that the Democrats have been attacking him from the get-go. I think that the United States is in a civil war right now, without bullets, like I said. And I think that if things get worse, they're going to get much worse. There's going to be a lot of you think that there's civil unrest in Hong Kong? Watching the United States, if Trump gets impeached, and I think there's going to be and gun laws get passed where people can no longer get their guns, or they've got to turn over some of their weapons. People are going to be like, "Fuck you! We're not giving you our guns back." I can tell you, I know people who have guns in the U.S., and it's important to them. And it's not just because they want to protect their house. It's because they want to protect themselves from many things. And that's one of the things that was that's been around for a long time now, a couple hundred years, and people are not willing to give that up. And they will fight for it. So I think that the United States is in a tough spot right now. And then they've got all these other things going on around the world with the trade talks with China, the phase 2 coming up. Megxit, oh my goodness, Iran. And then you got the people crying about the immigrants, and the immigrants, oh, well, they're already here, so we might as well let them get their driver's licenses. No, why don't you figure out a way that's going to work better than what's going on right now? That's what I would say. It's my little rant for the morning. Oh my God. Yeah, I just can't even believe what's out there now in the news. Well, that's about the most sensible thing you've said this morning, John. They definitely are a problem. Just like, listen, if somebody is far right, even people to the right are going to be like, that's a bit extreme, dude. But the ones that are on the left are the ones, this whole racist thing. And listen, I have nothing against anybody. And I think the majority of people, they don't carry these deeps at this point in the country. I don't think a lot of people carry deep-seated hatred the way that the left seems to think they do. And like I was talking about the transgenders, I have nothing against transgenders at all. Thank you, Richard. I have absolutely nothing against them. I just don't agree with their lifestyle. But that's their lifestyle. It's not mine. Doesn't matter. But when it comes into the legal system, it's like, listen, I understand immigrants want to come over from Guatemala because their coffee, the coffee crops are not earning them enough money, and they feel like they're going to go to the land of opportunity and come to the United States and sneak in, get themselves a driver's license or whatever, and they're going to get set up. I understand these things. I understand why they would do it. However, what I was saying to my buddy the other day is maybe what they need to do is come up, and I do believe that they might have something like this now. They come in for like they come in seasonally, they get visas for seasonal work or whatever, and if they don't leave on time, then they're banned from coming in legally again, and then they have to pay taxes, they get a minimum wage, blah, blah, blah. They get to do the jobs that many Americans don't want to do. It's win-win. They have to be able to figure something like that out. Now, it's not my job to figure that out. So I'm not sitting in it with a committee day in and day out trying to come up with answers to these problems. If I was, in the House or in the Senate, or working with immigration, of course that's my job. Then I'm going to sit there and I'm going to think about it. I'm going to try to work things out. You're going to have to, sit with your co-workers and try to work something out. You have to brainstorm and see what the left are ones pushing the message is. Well, I don't know. I don't understand what you disagree with, but what I'm talking to you about is exactly what you're saying about the left and all this. And I think that when you start allowing people to come in and saying, well, they're already here. We know they snuck in. No, well, in other countries, you get deported. You get caught, you get deported. And look how many times people have been arrested. They're an illegal immigrant, and then they get let out of jail. They're supposed to come back in a month or 2 months or whatever for their trial. And guess what they do? They go out and kill again. Or they go out and rob somebody or whatever it is. So instead of talking about it listen, all I see from the left is a bunch of bullshit. I don't see him doing much of anything. And say what you will about Trump, at least he's taken some action. I mean, hey, it's better to make a wrong decision and go for it than to make, most of the time, than to make absolutely no decision and let things go to shit, which is what I think is happening in the United States. All right, let me keep reading this until I'm done. Ethnic and religious minorities, in particular, face severe persecution. More than any other government, Beijing has made technology central to its repression, as my colleague Maya Wang and I recently reported in detail for the New Yorker Daily in Data Leviathan, China's burgeoning surveillance state, which is a good article, and I actually have that article. The Communist Party has already built a nightmarish system in Xinjiang, the northwestern region that is home to some 13 million Muslims, Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and other Turkic minorities, and to the most intrusive public monitoring system the world has ever known. Having pioneered this use of new technologies of social control in Xinjiang, the Chinese government is now building similar systems of surveillance and behavioral engineering throughout the country. Most notable is its social credit system, which the government vows will punish bad behavior such as jaywalking and failure to pay court fees and reward good conduct. People's trustworthiness, as assessed by the government, determines their access to desirable social goods such as the right to live in an attractive city, send one's children to a top school, or travel by plane or high-speed train. For the time being, political criteria are not included in the system, but it would take time. It would take little to add them. When you think about this, U.S. population aging must either allow more age or work longer. Well, that may be something also to consider, is that some Americans, I believe, they believe they're entitled to only work a certain amount of time, and they are entitled to a certain pay. They have to get this, they have to get that. And, it's not going to happen in many cases. So, what was it that I was going to look at here? Hang on a second. I may not have been able to attain my visa. Well, you're allowed to vote for whoever you want to, and I don't blame you for that, man. Original visa under the current right-wing pseudo-dictator. You see, that's an opinion. The current right-wing pseudo-dictatorship. That's an opinion. It's your opinion. You're entitled to it. Of course you are. You're entitled to vote and donate to Bernie Sanders. But you're in the United States. That's why you're allowed to do these things. If you were in China, you wouldn't be allowed to a lot of the time. Well, that's another thing. And see, I don't know. Listen, I don't know what the answer is. I'm not an economist. And when I look at it, I think to myself, okay, so you want people to keep the business in the United States. You want everybody to be, keep it American. But if Americans if their quality isn't as good as another place, and their prices are higher, then they're not going to be able to export these products. So what are you going to do? You're going to force everybody in the United States to purchase something made in the United States, and it's inferior quality, and the prices, if you were just to compare them side by side, the prices would be more expensive. But because you decide that you're going to put tariffs on the foreign product, then when the foreign product comes in, it's more expensive. It's a lot more expensive. He's a wannabe dictator, and you know it. No, I don't know it. He may act in ways that you don't agree with, and that, it's my way or the highway. Okay, but he is still bound by the Constitution. He's still bound by the House and the Senate. There's still laws that apply to him. And listen, if he's found guilty by the Senate, he's found guilty. It's the law. That's the way it goes. He's out. Now, there are going to be people that are going to be pissed off, and they're going to want to take action. I don't know what good it's going to do. Will he be voted in for another 4 years? Well, I don't know that Bernie Sanders is going to be able to win an election. I sure in the hell would never vote for Hillary Clinton. And I could say again, like I've said for the last couple of streams, the world is in chaos. The world is a clusterfuck. The media is pretty much against him. Not every organization, but a large percentage of the media is against him. And they, I think, have been against him from the very beginning. Listen, Ronald Reagan was in, Bedtime for Bonzo? But he was the governor of California. He had some experience. But you get Trump, who was, you're fired, and that alone made people hate him. And he's a brash individual. So I see why people hate him. He's not what I would consider the kind of person who carries himself as a president should carry himself. But this is a different time. It really is. You think about it. He uses some of those tweets, I think he does by emotion, but some of them he makes his tweets knowing full well what he's doing. He's riling people up. He wants to gauge reactions. Just the other day, the leader of Iran called him a clown. And what I find hilarious is that he's saying that, the missiles the missile that hit the plane? Let me see here. I forgot exactly. I gotta. My memory is piss poor. Oh God. Yeah, it's always about the hand of God sending a missile Hang on a second here. Yeah, Iran slap to the U.S. in Iraq was the hand of God. That the missile attacks were the hand of God. Okay, listen. I have a real problem with a guy who calls a leader of a country a clown, which at times, okay, he's a clown. I understand that. But I have a real problem with a guy who says, oh, the missiles were guided by the hand of God. No, they weren't. They weren't guided by the hand of God. I didn't see God. I don't know that's true. I don't believe in God. And people are entitled to believe in God. But in my opinion, the hand of God had nothing to do with those missiles being fired. In his brain, to me, that's just as bad. He's just as big of a clown as Trump is. These American clowns who lie and say they're with the Iranian people should see who the Iranian people are. If you do stand with the Iranian people, it's because you want to stick your poison dagger into the back of the Iranian nation. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so, of course, you haven't been able to do that so far. You won't be able to do a damn thing. See, what I find hilarious is that this guy is speaking for all the Iranian people, and then you have things like the Iranian flag and American flag on the ground, and the people don't want to walk over it. The right controls the United States thanks to Whoo! Getting a little heated in the chat here. He changes the subject, controls the narrative. Well, I will say this, Jeff Hale Bop. Most politicians, you ask them a tough question, and they either answer the question with a question, or they beat around the bush by it. And I can say, again, that when it comes to Hong Kong and Carrie Lam and what's going on with the police there, that's exactly what she does every single time. You're like, hey, she didn't answer the question. Or she just flat out completely issues a rebuke that is so nonsensical. Most of you to get a glimpse of watch his appearance in some other. Well, I would say that most people don't know Trump. Exactly. I would say you don't know him from what you see him, and you don't, Well, I believe that redirect, and, there's part of me that just goes, you know what? Maybe I should just make it to the end. I should just concentrate on making it to the end, getting my kids through, and not worry about anything else. Not give a shit about anything else. But then what am I going to do with myself? Until we get money out of politics, nothing will change. Money's always going to be involved in politics. I hate to tell you that. Listen, the guy who came in third here, the guy who I did that video the other day about, what's his name? Tanatorn. He's a billionaire. You got to have money to be involved in politics, or you got to have a huge support base. Iran is far more dangerous. Well, yeah, that may be true. Although I will say that, if Iran gets out of hand, I think that there's a lot of people, a lot of countries, a lot of governments that are willing to destroy that country. Because things are beginning to turn. Wait a minute. Until we get money out of politics. Yeah, but the thing is you're not going to see money get out of politics. I don't see that that's going to happen. Because the man with the gold rules. That's a very simple rule, and it's not always fair, and it's not always right. And one of my things is, and I've been babbling about it for the last, I don't know how long, for the last couple of months, is that big business, governments, because they have the money and they have the power and they have the, um, they can, they have the, hang on a second. Yeah, all right, let me get back here. Those who have the money and the power, the big businesses, they tend to influence politicians. The politicians, therefore, are beholden to these companies or these, what do you call them, the PACs, I'm blanking out right now. Yeah, but it's not only, it's not always about, I mean, look at Clinton. How much is he making from his speaking tours? And quite frankly, I don't really want to know what he's got to say. I don't want to listen to him. Now, I'm not gonna pay. I wouldn't pay to listen to him. I understand that, and I understand people wanting to pay. But well, this is the problem, Gennaro. I don't think that that's how it is now. I think it's of the people, by the people, for the people with the most money, and the agencies and governments and organizations with the most money. Look at a perfect example, simplified, are many of the countries in the African continent. What always happens when you turn it over to some dictator there? What do? They rape and pillage and steal the money, and then it happens again and again and again. Because the people who don't have money have no power to fight it. And in the United States, they still have the power to fight it because of the different layers in politics and because of the voting thing. Now, what really gets me is that the left says because Hillary won the popular vote instead of the electoral votes, that we should consider changing everything. We should consider changing the voting methods, the electoral college, and we should consider changing this in the future. But you see, it's done us well for hundreds of years. It's been fine. But when they lost and they didn't like what they saw, now they're freaking out and they want to change things. Forces and the United Corporations of America. That's a good way to see it. China thinks their system is better because it's less chaotic and they get things done. Okay, all right, but do you want to live there? You want to live there where they tell you what you can do, what you can watch, what you can say, what you can't say? I don't. I don't like anybody telling me what to do. To be honest, I don't particularly like anybody telling me what to do. There are certain times when I think it's acceptable, and you need to understand that this is the right way, the right way to do things, the right way to get along in society. But there are also times when people are telling you what to do. It's like some security guard walking up and going, "You can't use your phone here," or like the guy that I was talking about in Hong Kong, where he walked up to me. He's just some guy in the street. The journalist guy. He's a journalist from Japan. He walks up to me and goes, "Yeah, you can't take pictures here." And I'm like, "Fuck you. Get out of my face, buddy. Who the fuck are you?" You know what I mean? You don't have authority. And the problem, too, is that now the authorities, like the Chinese government, the U.S. government, all these places, it's about them. It's not about the people. I don't believe the United States is, for the people, by the people, of the people, by the people, for the people. I don't believe that. I just don't buy it anymore. I think it's changing more to, yeah. I think it's changing more to, hey, I'm in power, we're in power, it's our way, and too bad if you don't like it. Well, that may be true, redirect. I'm there is okay. I don't understand what you're saying. Speak English. Supposedly you do speak English. Democracy doesn't work anymore. It's just a hidden dictatorship. Well, I think, like I said, there's layers. And sometimes you get through the layers, and sometimes you don't. I gotta say, getting off of this subject, Trump plans to fear and loathing. What? Plans to fear and loathing by aging white. As state populations change, the EC is separating from the popular vote. Ultimately, the person with the most votes should win. That's democracy. But it's not democracy right now, MetTech. That's the thing. Right now, they set it up. It's set up to do it the way that it's set up with the Electoral College. I understand what you're saying, but right now, that's not the law. So you can't just go, oh, well, when it changes, it changes, and that'll be the law. Okay, I understand that. Aging white voters, you mean like... All right, MetTech, go have a nice run. It's good that we can have a civil debate here. I do appreciate that. Let me see something here. Oops. There we go. All right. Yeah. Everything's about the Royals. Everything's about impeachment. What am I looking at here? Let's see. I just got finished. Moving on to another subject before we call it a day. I just got finished watching. Well, yeah, exactly. I certainly don't. And no, before moving to Thailand, I lived in California. California used to be a place where people would go, oh man, you hit the summer and, chicks are out there in bikinis. And this is, granted, I was a lot younger, but, it was a place where people loved being. And now you got people running from there. And it's like they're just, yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that. Cowboy and McGregor are fighting. Probably right about now. Let me see something here. If not now, shortly. Let me see something here. Da, 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 da. Wow. Okay, so it's not on right now, apparently. Not yet. Maurice Green. All right, there is a stream going on. Oh, what happened? Oh, that's it? Oh, you get a 2-second demo? It used to be you could find a live stream just about anywhere. You're created to find... Yeah, I don't have a UFC account anymore. Yeah, it should be on soon. I'm looking at it right now. Let's see here. Submits Osborne 10 minutes ago. These are the updates. Yeah. What is this, man? I'm right here, starting with Fight Pass prelims. Okay, here we are. Okay, you got two more fights: Maurice Green and Olenek, and Holly Holm and Raquel Pennington. I don't know about Maurice Green and Olenek, but I think Holly Holm needs the win. I think she's going to win that fight, but who knows? And honestly, I'll be honest with you, Richard. I think that McGregor is probably going to win, but I won't be surprised if he loses because Cowboy is the kind of guy, man. He comes to fight against everybody, and he's no pushover. It's a tough fight for McGregor, but I think he's going to be too fast, and he has too much power in his left. I think he's going to catch Cowboy, and I think he's going to take him out. But you never know because he could get taken down, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I should watch it. I should try to find the live stream online, but I haven't had a chance, and I haven't really looked into it. So, let me see here. Yeah, well, that's a problem against Cowboy. It is against McGregor rather. That's a problem because McGregor is so sharp. He's such a sharp puncher. I used to have UFC online, and I just kept it. I kept it updated, and I get the free. I get the not free. I get the pay-per-view, but it's just too much money now for me. It really is. It's not the $10 a month. I mean, that adds up too. But it's that every time they have they got pay-per-views on all the time. You want to watch it, you got to pay. So I don't mind most of the time catching it afterwards. Oh, they got the radio thing going on. What is this? Wow, these guys look like they couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. Anyway, I was going to talk about one more thing here, and that's it. I've got to talk about Manscaped. I forgot about that. Manscaped, quality products. You got they've got some deodorant for your man parts. They've got freshener. They've got the lawn mower that grooms your nether regions, or you can use it for me because I don't have to do that down there. It can shave your head, which works quite well. And they got what I really like is their undergarments. They really protect you. If you're in a hot area like in Thailand, Southeast Asia, you're walking around, it's hot, it's humid, you're going for a long walk, you're sweaty. Well, their special undergarments wick away the sweat, and they keep you from getting chafing. And they really do. They're good stuff, and you can get a 20% discount if you use the code MALIN20. I need all the people to order from them that I can, not because I get money, but I'd like to get another package from them and eventually earn some money from them. That would be nice, but right now I'm not. I've got a few things planned. I've already got the Chinatown thing. As much as I don't like the CCP, it is the Chinese New Year next Saturday, this coming Saturday, so 6 days from now. I'll be streaming from Chinatown at 10 o'clock in the morning here, which is a little later than usual. But supposedly the festivities don't start until noon. So, at the very least, I can walk around a little bit, have the gimbal going, and then, usually they used to start off at 8 or 9. So I'm not quite sure, but I'll be down there bright and early. So at latest, the stream will start at 10. At earliest, it will start probably 9 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock. But I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see. I got another stream on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. And then I'm still trying to get back to Hong Kong. There's a lot of them, but Shangri-La on Yawarat Road, Shangri-La restaurant, quite good. One of my favorite places for dim sum. I mean, we got a dim sum, a lady who sells dim sum right across the street from our house, which is fantastic because every once in a while I just go, hey, get some dim sum for us. And, kids like it, I like it, the wife likes it, everybody likes it. They have buns also. They have the cream buns, they have the pork buns, they have the barbecued pork buns, they have the moosap, they have all kinds of stuff. And they're reasonably priced. So for $2, you can get enough dim sum to fill you up, more than fill you up, which is quite good. So maybe I'll go there. I don't know if they're going to be open. Usually I think at Chinatown, I don't think they open up. I think all they do is sell their moon cakes, and they might sell some other food, but if I remember correctly, they don't. So I'll be there at Chinatown, but I am trying to go back to Hong Kong. I want to see what happens in the next few hours today. I want to see what happens in the coming 2 weeks. I think it's important for me to go, if not for any other reason than to close out the whole story from my perspective. I don't think it's going to end in the next couple of weeks or anything like that. There are different things going on now than in the past. In the past, it was just a mass of people accumulated in the streets, and then they started yelling and screaming at the police, and then tear gas went off, and then the people got angry, and then they went back and forth, and they vandalized stuff and smashed stuff, and cops attacked people, and all these things happen. It's a little more refined now, and I think if they want any chance at least getting a response from the government, a positive response from the government, I think they're going to have to refrain from violence and vandalism. One of the things I was going to talk about, I'll just talk about it real quick, was that with all this stuff going on in the world, and if you look at all this stuff, for me, when I'm thinking about this, I'm like, man, this is so negative. I looked at Steffi Graf. If you remember, she's the tennis player, great tennis player. Somehow I stumbled onto her Facebook page. And everything she posted was so positive. And I'm like, so is she like not talking about the negative or putting it out there, or what's the deal? Is it she's just ignoring all the negatives? Because I don't know that helps much. I mean, she's got a little organization, a big organization that she helps kids through, and I'm sure she does a lot of good for people. But that's not the point. The point is when you start looking at the news, everything is negative. Rarely is it positive. You got a bank teller who some guy didn't have any money or something, and he was complaining about it's Christmas time, and the money was supposed to be cleared by now. It was over $1,000, and he needed the money, and he couldn't get it. And then he went back the next day, and they were closed for the holidays, and it wasn't expected, so he had no money. He didn't have gas, and the lady the customer service lady said, listen, I'm a block away from you, and I'll come and give you $20 for Christmas. He's like, wow. So she did. She went and gave him $20. And, of course he was happy and everything, but then they fired her for doing something they considered inappropriate. Now, it could have been just, hey, this bank teller helped this guy out, gave him $20. Very nice of him. Then his money was released. He gave her the $20 back, or he sent her a thank you card or whatever. No, it's not. That's not how the news puts it out there. The news puts it out there, and it's a negative. So how do you get around all these things? Is the world a negative place, or is it a positive place? It's all about your perspective and what you choose to acknowledge and what you choose to ignore or not talk about or whatever it is. And for me, that's always it's a juggling act. I can talk about China and the Communist Party and Hong Kong and everything that's been going on. I can talk about it till I'm blue in the face. I can talk about Thailand till I'm blue in the face. The positives and negatives of living here. But what do I want to concentrate on? I want. The thing is, if you just talk about all the positives and you don't talk about any negatives, then it's like you're not giving everybody the full story. But if you concentrate on all the negatives, then it's like you're a negative person. The other thing was that I had thought about eating this chip today. I still have the Pacquiao One Chip Challenge, the black deadly chip. I have it here. It's all wrapped up. I don't want ants getting in here. This is it. I thought about eating it today, but I don't think that I'm going to eat it today. Maybe I'll eat it next Sunday or the Sunday after that. Depends on where I am and what I'm doing. So yeah, that's another thing. Well, it's not. It doesn't show any problem here on my end, John. So it might be yours. Just hit refresh. See if that helps. What else was I going to talk about here? Yeah, there's the one chip challenge. I mean, that thing, I got to be prepared for that because just in case it lays me up for the day or it keeps me on the toilet for a day, I got to be ready to go. The other thing I was going to say is, yeah, I'm sure you like that redirect. The other thing I was going to say is that I'm waiting for YouTube to get back to me. I don't know if they're going to approve it or not because I don't know that I have enough subscribers. But I just noticed when I was talking about this earlier, I noticed that they have the thing where you can get, where people who do give, super chats, where now what they do is not only do they get the little, the little logos, the little icons, the little things like that. I like to do those fire noodles. I like to do that before I do the chip, actually. I got to check that out. Let me see. Write down that note. Because I would do the fire noodles before I do the chip. But yeah, I went in today and I was looking at, I forget what I was looking at, but I was looking around in the analytics and stuff like that. And I saw, it was the t-shirts I was looking at. What else is grinding my gear? That really grinds my gears. But anyway, they have a thing there where, like, if somebody wants to be, they want to be this level or that level. Basically, you can have membership with the it's like a super chat membership. Now you get a membership, which whatever whatever it is you get your little icons for the first level, and you get something else for the second level, and you get some. It really depends on if they approve it, but I was surprised to see it. So if they see it, they may approve it because it's never been available to me in the past. So that was interesting to me, but it doesn't necessarily mean a lot to some of the people in this chat, but maybe to some people it will. I don't know. We'll see. Good morning. Yeah, fire noodles. I like fire noodles. Yeah, what else is going to grind my gears? Let's see. Well, what's going on? Well, these guys are talking. I want to see. Let's see. Where are they at here? Well, there's still, I guess, Maurice Green and Olenek are still fighting. What else do I got here? This is a photography contest. Okay, yeah, here's something that I was thinking about. I'll talk about this. Like I said, Hong Kong is an important area for me. But there are other things that I need to continue to do. And one of the things that I thought about, and I haven't done this, I did do something in Sanklebury before. I think now the internet service is better. I think I've learned from what I did there, and I know what's happening. But during Songkran, there is a chance I will go to Masot. Masot is an area right on the border of Thailand and Myanmar. In fact, you can cross over the border. I don't know if you can cross over for more than just a day there now. It's changed in the past because I believe you can get up to, you can go all the way up to Yangon now. But I'm not sure. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. It's on the border of Myanmar. It's a little border town. They got a really, I won't say a lovely market, but they have a market there. And it's not the same as say going to a market in Yangon or something like that. It's a little bit different. And what they have there that's worth going for is not the market. What it is they have, I've been there several times, Jared. I know where to stay. I know what to do there. I mean, I know my way around. But they have an event in April where the Thais in the neighborhood, in the area, and some will come from other areas. And then the Burmese from the local area and then also from other parts of the country will all come to Masot, and they'll have a 3-day event where the first day they have like amateurs, just people out. They might be drunk. There may be some local guy who is a local Thai guy who has a problem with some Burmese guy who stole his girlfriend or whatever it is, and they get in the ring and they fight. And that's a couple of hours. Then the next day, they have the more experienced people come. And then the last day, they have the pros, the really top-notch fighters come. They are not the very best, but they are very, very good. I would say they're not like the champions. Most of them are not the champions, although they may have a couple of champions come. But for the most part, they're good, solid fighters waiting to. They're making their way up in the rankings. Kind of the same in Sanklebury, which I'm going to find out about Sanklebury in the next couple of days, because they have an event there, a bare knuckle event there also for the Mon Festival. So I may go to one of those places. One or both, I don't know. I'm not really into photographing the fights anymore, but I will photograph them, and I could use some more photos. So that's, something else to think about in the future for the channel. And then there's some other things that I'm working on, but those things ended. Chinatown and Hong Kong, all that should keep me busy for the next 3-4 months. So a lot of people would like to go there, and I don't know what to tell you. Go then. Masot is I wouldn't call it a nice place. It's not what I would call a lovely area. But it doesn't really matter. So Michael, don't tell me what to do, please. I'll get my sinuses fixed when I get them fixed. Maybe if the Thais do something about pollution, my sinuses won't be so bothered. I think it has to do more with allergies and polyps than anything else. So I could take some medicine, but I don't want to. So those things alone, the fights are pretty good. Although I think if I was to do it again, like I did a couple of years ago, I did the uh, Sankaburi fights. And what happened was it was so hot by April or by February, middle of February. It was so, stop intruding on the conversation, bar girl. We're not talking about that, okay? Please. I don't care if you live here, if you're only single. I don't care. I don't know who you are. You've never been here before. You want to talk, that's fine, but keep with the gist of the conversation. You asked because, well, wait a minute, I didn't see what you asked me. Where are you at? Well, you know, the fights over there, the fights in both places, they don't start at 9 o'clock in the morning. They would be, let me see here. Where are you at? You're in, let me see. Right now it's 5:26 a.m., so you're 6 hours, you're about 6 hours behind, right? 6 hours behind. So if I started them at 3 in the afternoon, it'd be 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I mean, you know, the fights over there, that's just the thing. The fights don't start in the morning. All of them start in the afternoon. Usually they start around 2 o'clock, so that would be 8 in the morning your time. But those are really good. And the thing is that I'm thinking that I'm going to try to go to both. I don't know. It really depends because, you know, it's the transportation there is relatively inexpensive. It's the staying there and the food and everything. It all adds up. So it's important that, you know, I have enough money to do both things. That's always an issue. But I'd like to go to at least one of them. And what I'm thinking is that maybe what I'll do is I'll stream from, say, I may stream at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's only the last 3 fights. And then for the rest of the time, I'll shoot video or something like that and take photos. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I can do, and I've been sitting down really thinking about what do I want to do with the channel for the next year. What do I want to do? And one of the things that I came to the conclusion that I need to I came to the conclusion that I need to put on the videos at the same time every week, same days, same times every week, and I really need to stream as often as possible. I need to stream the same time, the same date, same time, same day. I need to do that. It makes it easier for people. The problem with the stream sometimes, obviously, is that if there's something taking place, like if Chinatown takes place at 12 o'clock, well, for you, redirect at 6 in the morning. For other people, that might work. It might not work. You know, so I have to try to take it with a grain of salt and just, you know, if an event is important and somebody wants to watch it enough, watch it bad enough, they'll get up and watch it, or they'll stay up and watch it, or they can watch it later on, whatever, you know. Yeah, boom, see you later. You know, I get these guys coming in now with some of these names, and it's just like, listen, I don't buy it. Doesn't really matter. Bye. That's what's grinding my gears. It's really grinding my gears. What is this? Wow. Yeah, I know redirect, and I know it's difficult when, you know, it's hard for me to get to everybody, and I wish I could. It probably would be better for me if I could get to everybody at the same time, you know. But that's not how it works. But if the video or the stream is still up, then there's no reason why people can't watch it. You know, they just can't take part, interact. And you know what I notice is that a lot of times there's I'd say about 20% of people interact through the chat. 20 to 30% of the people will interact, depending on the numbers. Numbers now, if there's, say, 40 people to 60 people, there might be 20%. If there are 100, there might be 25% or something like that. That doesn't happen very often. And if there's 200 or 300, there might be even more. But the majority of the people who watch are from the United States, Thailand, UK, Australia, and I think Singapore. That's how I think the breakdown works. So, anyway, we're at 2.5 hours. Long stream. Thank you to everybody who joined. Thank you for the contributions to those people who contributed. And to the people who continually contribute, I appreciate it. Thanks for following. Thanks for joining in on the conversation. Appreciate that. And I should be on Wednesday. Well, good for you. I'm glad you live in Bangkok. That's nice. A lot of people live in Bangkok. What I notice is kind of topic decides how much people interact. Well, you know, when I was growing up, all right, redirect. When I was growing up, I was told, you know, and even when I was older, I was always told, oh, stay away from politics and religion. Don't talk about it. See you later, Richard. And now I talk about it all the time. You know, and the thing is that if you can't talk to people about stuff, listen, I have no problem talking. I may not agree, and we may have a spirited debate, but I don't think that it's a bad thing to be able to get into a heated debate or anything like that. I think it's important that people talk. You know, if you can't communicate back and forth with each other, then how can you sway somebody's decision? How can you try to understand them and have them understand you? Is that true communication? I don't think it is. You know, it's not I speak, you listen. It's I speak, you listen, you respond, and I listen, and we work. And that's how you come to solutions to problems. And I think that's one of the things that now, especially in the United States, that people have, you know, look at the right and the left. They're so far divided now. Yeah, you're welcome. They're so far apart. And there's so much hatred. And you know, I mean, you wear a Make America Great Again hat and people want to beat you up for it? I mean, listen, I don't like Nancy Pelosi. I don't like Maxine Waters. I don't like Chuck Schumer. I don't like any of these people. I don't like how they are. I don't like their persona. But once in a while, they do some good things. But doesn't mean that I like them. Or like what they stand for. Or like how they act. Or I don't particularly like how Trump acts. I think it's unpresidential at times. You know, I think there's much more to being a president than just getting things done. Which I would think he has gotten quite a bit done. But it's a matter of how has he carried himself. Is he carrying himself in an honorable manner where people will view him in 50 years, 100 years and say, wow, what a great president. They may say Trump was an asshole or he was emotional, he was charged, but he got a lot of things done. They may say that, you know. But I don't think anybody's going to say, oh, he carried himself in such a diplomatic manner. He really knew how to speak. He's such a good speaker. I don't think that's going to happen. So. Coffee and Snickers. Why do I think that you are probably a troll? Have I ever gone to JJ Market? I've been in Thailand for 25 years. What do you think? I've been to JJ Market so many times, I don't want to go there anymore. Anything going on with the McGregor fight or a Holly Holm fight that anybody can tell me about before I sign off here? All right, well, I guess that's about the end of the day here. End of the stream. Well, that's what I mean, Jared. You know, you get questions like, oh, I love in Bangkok. You mean you live in Bangkok? Okay. It's not on yet. Okay. It's probably not on yet. I don't think it's on yet, but ask a stupid question, get a stupid response. You know, that's how it works. Lots of knuckleheads in the world. Really? Is he? Is he really a weirdo? He may be a weirdo, but that's not for you to say. You know, seriously. So goodbye. Simple as that, buddy. The same guy. Good fun. Jared, I'm sure you're so hurt, aren't you? Yeah. You're a very impressive person. All right, listen. I got to get out of here. But please click thumbs up. Please share this. Get your friends watching, whatever. Click on the links down below. You can contribute to my GoFundMe for Hong Kong. I could really use the help. I'm starting to get the impression that, you know, people have stopped caring about what's going on in Hong Kong, except for some very dedicated people and for the Hong Kongers themselves. There's also a link to PayPal, Apple and Zelle, my Patreon sites, my books. Don't forget about Manscaped. Manscaped, you get 20% off. Just put in Malin20 at the code when they ask for the code. Got all my social media down there, yada, yada, yada. And, well, we are a bunch of weirdos. That's the thing. But, you know, like when some knucklehead comes in who has never said a word before, he's never come in, and he comes in a real aggressive manner. Oh, yeah, I live in Bangkok. Uh-huh, okay. Sure you do. All right. You know, I mean, I have my doubts. And quite frankly, I really don't care. At this point, I've been through so much on YouTube and learned so much about human nature on YouTube that all this stuff, you know, bottom line is, does it really matter? Nah, doesn't really matter. Just have a good time, have our little chat, do our little thing, watch Bonanza. No, oh, I know what I was going to say before I go. I'm sorry, I already got to the other stuff, but if you get a chance to watch the HBO miniseries Chernobyl, I watched it. I binge-watched it. 5 episodes, 330 minutes. I thought it was excellent. Now, I don't know. I know that there are some things that have been changed because it is a movie / miniseries. But the first episode, for about the first 30, 40 minutes, it's a little slow, but you really got to watch it. And then after that, the rest of the episodes are, for me, I really found the whole miniseries to be fantastic. I wanted the thing to keep going, you know, but it was very, very interesting. And I love series like that. I love stuff like that, which is why I watch it. I like documentaries. I like uh, series that are based on true stories that hopefully lean more to truth than to movie making. So if you get a chance to watch that, watch it. Any Patia get together news? No, none at all. We'll see what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing in the next. I know where some people will be, um, and I know some of the things that I'll be doing, but I don't know where I'll be at right now on what days. And I don't know. Do I want to stay there for one day? Just come back on the same day? Do I want to stay there for 1 or 2 nights? What do I want to do? And there are some other people that I want to go see. And just went to Quaybridge and watched The Railway, man. Good movie. You ever watch Rescue Me about firemen in New York? No, I didn't. Is it good? I will have to watch that. I'll check it out. See what I can find. House of Cards. Yeah, I started watching that one. I don't know. I don't remember it. Maybe if I watched it again. Sometimes some of these shows, for me, I start watching them, and if I'm not in the right mood, or it's a little slow at the beginning or something like that, and then I just go, you know, I don't want to watch it. And then I go back later on and watch. I find it to be really good or whatever. That happens sometimes. But there's some shows that I'm going to watch in the near future. But some of this stuff has to do with photography, and that's what I tend to stick to most of the time. Photography stuff, travel stuff, National Geographic type stuff. Uh, it's what interests me. So, okay. Is it a DVD? I don't know. Maybe I can find it online. I don't know. I'll have to see. The Gentleman. What's The Gentleman? I'll check it out. I always like. I'm reading a book now. Since we're on the topic of movies and everything, and I can't seem to get out of here, I'm reading 1984 again. I've also got the video. I haven't started reading this again. How to make video. What is it? Shoot videos that don't suck. Because my videos, I think most of them suck. So, and then I'm also reading the History of Southeast Asia, which is an excellent book if you want a fairly fast read about Southeast Asia. It's a movie about grow houses. Oh, wow. Cool. I always find that interesting. I'm not into the whole weed thing anymore, and pot and all that, although, I'm not opposed to eating a brownie once in a while at night when I'm getting ready to go to bed. I wouldn't mind doing that, but, I'm not into the whole smoking thing anymore or pot. I'm just not into it. I don't know why. Doesn't do much for me, but I do appreciate the business aspect of it. So it might be worth a look. But remember that I'm a guy who, when I started learning about marijuana, I was still watching Reefer Madness. So, what a movie. Anyway, don't forget to click thumbs up, like, share, all that good stuff. I got to get out of here for whatever reason. I don't know what I'm doing for the rest of the day. Depends on what the wife's doing. My kids are doing well. Nicholas is not home. Alex is not going to the studio today, so I don't know what we're doing. Maybe a little family day. But thank you all for joining me and everybody else. Yep. Don't forget to click thumbs up. Appreciate that. The trolls never forget to click thumbs up. I don't know why, but it doesn't. Like I said before, it doesn't really matter at this point in YouTube. It really doesn't matter because it's just about interaction, and it's not like I'll be honest, it's not like I make a ton of money off of YouTube. It doesn't really matter. So, anyway, that's all I got. So I guess that's it. Eh? I feel like I got something else to do, but maybe I'm just antsy. And there are T-shirts available. I forgot about that. I forgot to talk about that. They should be showing up for people in North America. There should be a little set of box or a row of boxes down below where you can buy T-shirts and mugs, I believe. So anyway, that's all I got. All right, I'm done. Arrivederci. Ciao, baby. Andale. Andale, amigos. Adios. And Choke D, good luck. Jerken Mai. Tata. Goodbye, as they say in Hong Kong. And let's see here if I can do this properly. Yeah, all right. Well, there we go. Now let's see. Still a long, still a long lag time. That's my cue right there. I can't play any music anymore. Every single song that I see, it either says banned in 249 countries or it says, no, you can't use this music. So that's why there's no outro music. I don't feel like playing some elevator music. But there we go. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Redirect, good to see you again. Ziggy Zags. I like the name. And everybody else, Fidelity, John, Gennaro, Richard, MedTech, Sky Trooper, yada, yada, yada. Happy days. Monday, Tuesday, happy days. What is it? Monday, Tuesday, happy days? Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got. So I'll talk to you guys later. All right?